about that. I was trying to do a live stream and it just went dead on me. And I didn't know if the microphone was on. But I'm here outside working today, trying to stay in the shade because it is about 95 degrees and it feels like it's 105 with 100% humidity. And we're doing an exclusion job. And I haven't had to do any of this in the field for like 2 years. So I'm really out of shape. Sorry about the belly. Um, and we're doing an exclusion job, and we're making these, custom vents um, for crawl spaces. All right, and um, so I'm here helping my tech. He's doing the installation. I'm making the screens. We do them custom here on site, um, one by one, and then we have a couple of other things to exclude in the building. We got to do a little bit of concrete repair, a little bit of foaming, um, a little bit of caulking. We're going to install a garage seal around the garage to stop the bugs from getting into the garage. And it's about 10 man hours. So I'm going to be out here another good 4 hours. We're almost done making the vents for the crawl space. I've been here since about 8:30, 9 o'clock. And I hope all you guys can hear me right. Because I had the microphone. Let me take a look, make sure in the chats. Yeah, let me know in the chats if you're hearing me good. Can you hear me? Thumbs up, everybody. Got a couple of things I wanted to talk to you about why I make these. Redeem the time because the days are evil. So I have to basically make use of every second I have in the day to do whatever I can to make everything happen for everybody that wants me to do something for them. And this one is going to be a little kinky here. And I mean kinky, I don't mean in a bad way. It's just kinked up on me. But yeah, we do these. And I'll cut this. And bam, it's framed out, ready to go. He'll drill them and install them, and we're good to go. But I wanted to take the time while I do this to do a live podcast on the single biggest challenge that you guys face other than sales and marketing. And let me take off my glasses because I'm getting glare back from this shade in the screen and everything. And it is hiring. And the constant conversation around hiring is endless because everybody's like, I can't, I put out a post on, how does a business under $1 million hire and provide benefits when everybody in the industry says, well, the way you attract employees is you got to have good benefits and you got to have insurance and you have to have 401k and you got to have paid time off and you have to have a purple unicorn that craps out butterflies. That's literally what you're asking us to do is that's fine. But what I find from experience in the field of hiring technicians, that the technicians you're going to hire normally don't have degrees. They are they graduated high school. They don't have a particular career path yet. They've done a lot of things in their life, but get it in there. Yeah. They've done a lot of things in their life and they've done one or two things, but they've never done the job that you're asking them to do. Pest control is totally different than every other trade in this, that if you want to be a plumber, you can start out as a journeyman and get certified and all this, but you still got to go to school, get certified, and start out and become a master plumber. If you want to become an electrician, it's the same principle. You start out, basically laying wire because there's nothing else you know how to do, running wire through a pipe. Then all of a sudden you got to go to school, become either an electrical engineer or start getting your licenses one by one. And by the time you're done, you're worth $35, $40 an hour in 4 years. Pest control is totally different. Pest control, you usually start out, you're trained by the company to do what it is you do. You maybe jump to another company to because they offered you more. But at the end of the day, right now in Miami, like, everybody's got to look at their own economy. Everybody's got to look at their own demographics. Everybody's got to look at what is being offered in the marketplace and what people are making. And what I find is that you're saying, well, I'm offering a fair price. Okay. I'm offering a fair salary to start out. The problem is your fair price is not competitive in the marketplace. You can't. You can't say fair. What's fair? Well, let's talk about fairness. Fairness in the marketplace. All right. When we say fair market value for something. All right. So how do you determine fair market value for a house? Well, they do a survey around the home, and the realtor does an analysis as the last 3 homes around this marketplace was sold for X. They were remodeled and they sold for X. You're wanting X, but the reality is your house isn't worth X. Your house is worth this because your house hasn't been upgraded or remodeled where the last 3 have, and they need to put $150,000 into this house. In other words, what you think is fair that you're asking for your house because you have an emotional attachment to it, your house is not worth that. Your house is worth what reality somebody's willing to pay. Okay? Now, you go to say, well, what's fair market value for my car? Well, you go online and you figure out Blue Book value, and Blue Book value tells you pretty much what it's worth. You have tools in certain industries to be able to gauge what it is that something is worth. When it comes to hiring people, is what do you gauge it against except other pest control companies? So if other pest control companies are offering all these benefits, right? But they're offering low wages. That's about the other. They're offering low wages, but they're offering insurance. Eh?
There is like 5 more.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
6?
6. The other place there is like como 3 aquí y 2 atrás.
Oh, hay 2 más atrás que no lo había visto. Okay.
Sí, pero ya tienen 5 cortadas.
¿Cuántas necesita?
Necesitamos 5, creo.
Okay.
Sí, pero ya tienes 5 cortadas, estás cortando otra más. Tienes otra más.
Oh, porque cuando yo tiro la tira me da parejo y estamos nones. All right, so now they're offering low wages, but they're offering insurance. They're offering 401k. They're offering paid time off, and they're offering 2 weeks vacation. But they're offering low wage. So who's interested in that job? People who are interested in what they're offering. When I put a job posting, I don't put any benefits. There are no benefits. I pay this hourly wage. Who am I going to attract? People that want the hourly wage. Okay, yeah, we're done with that. So if the people who are wanting an hourly wage but don't care about benefits, most people here in Miami do not care about benefits. Young people do not care about benefits. 50% of companies offer retirement plans, yet only 50% of people have a retirement plan. Why? Because 50% don't care and 50% don't offer it. Why 50% don't offer it? Well, because 50% or 58% of small businesses in America are under 4 employees. 78.8% of all businesses in America are self-employed. Almost 90% actually are self-employed. It depends on where you're at. So everything is relative to statistics. You can't get away from the statistics. You can't get away from the numbers. If you try, you will say, well, you will be doing everything on feelings and emotions. I feel that I'm paying a fair wage. You're paying $16 an hour, okay, with no benefits, no insurance, no PTO, no time off, to start because you're getting somebody with a high school degree that doesn't know anything about pest control, and that's what you're attracting. And then you're saying, well, nobody wants to work. Well, and then we get into a group and everybody says, well, if you offer the highest salaries, you will bring in good people and you will keep good people. Not necessarily. You will attract everyone who thinks they're worth $25 an hour. That's the reality. Now, you as an owner have to determine, is that person really worth the $25 an hour for what I need them to do? And you have to evaluate. The moment you decide they're not, then you got to decide, I don't hire them, or I have to fire them immediately and then go hire somebody else. Does that make sense? Let me know if you're listening, because I'm seeing the notes here. I'm seeing the comments. And I've got, I think, a bunch of people online now. But those are the realities. So when I see all the time, well, that's the reason why I gave up hiring, because I can't find anybody to work. No, the reality is you can't find someone to work for what you're paying. You're attracting the people that are so low grade that that's all that you can hire. When you pay more, you will attract better people. That's just a reality. Now, you will attract all kinds of people. Remember, you throw chum in the water, you're going to attract all kinds of fish. The question is, which fish do you want to catch? That's your question. So people say, well, I gave up hiring. That's why it's just me and my dad now, and me and my son, and we don't, because I can't hire because I can't afford to pay anymore. That's the real reason. That's the real issue that you're having. I'm going to take you with me because, ¿el metro dónde está? Here, walk with me, because I'm going to be doing a measurement, and I need to get my work done. My guy's almost done, and I'm here, diddle daddling. So when you say I can hire $16 an hour, that's peanuts if you're in California. Nobody can work for you realistically with half a brain for $16 an hour in California. You're kidding yourself. You're delusional. In Miami, nobody can work for $18 an hour for very long. They might start out at that, but they can't work for that. Give me a second. This is 21 3/4 by 18 3/4. All right, 21 3/4 by 18 3/4. All right, so you say you attract people. That's all I can afford to pay. That's your reality. It isn't that people don't want to work. Is that you're attracting people that really are worth $16 an hour, but you're wanting a $20 an hour employee in retrospect. That's our reality. Now, what we can afford is, hey, now I can afford to do X salary, but I can't give you PTO. In our business, when you're four employees, let me do this and do this over here, or less, there's no such thing as PTO. Because if somebody's off one day, that route didn't get done. Then either the other two people have to jump on and take 33% more work, right? Or basically, you have to go out and jump in a truck and do it yourself. 21 3/4, 18 3/4. 21 called me and knocked me offline. All right? So I'm not answering that today because I don't. So now you can't offer insurance because insurance is $1,000 per employee. So if you want older people in their 50s who are conscious of insurance because they have 3 kids, and a wife at home, and they need insurance, okay, I can give you insurance, but I got to reduce your pay by $1,000 a month, or you pay 20% of it or 40%, and I'll pay the 60%, but you're not getting insurance for $300-400 a month. It doesn't exist. It's about $1,000 to $1,200 per employee to offer insurance. Now you offer 1 week vacation a year. Well, what's 1 week vacation? It's $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 in production. That you got to get somebody to jump on that truck, or they have to produce it before they leave or after so they can take that time off. In other words, this isn't corporate America. It's bullshit. You can't do what corporate America does when they have, staff, and everybody is short staffed. But there isn't a single company right now that can tell me in corporate America that they're staffed adequately. They're short staffed. Their people are overworked. They're overstressed. And management and VPs are either delusional in what they're saying, or they believe their own crap, because it doesn't happen. I talk to people in corporate America right now. My fiance is one of them. They're understaffed by about 30%, and there's no budget to hire more. So a lot of what people are saying is true if you put it on paper and it looks good on a book and it looks good on a video. Probably is not the reality in the real world and practice. And what we live in is a world that you go out. I challenge you right now to go online and get me statistics on companies, studies that have been shown that this can be done in companies with 4 or less employees or under $1 million. None of this can be done until you get to $1 million. And if you can't get to $1 million and you don't have plans to get to $1 million, guess what? You'll never offer it. So don't talk about benefits and how do you add? You can add one benefit, right? But you're going to have to lower that salary. Now, do you want older people that can't do the job because they can't crawl in a crawl space and they can't get up there in an attic and they can't climb on a roof because they have back injuries, but you're going to have them working for you and they can't get the job done? See, you got to pick and choose. You can't have it both ways. You see, that's our reality. You can't find a single study on companies of 5 employees or less that can show you anybody's doing this. Not at scale. You might find one. They used it as a what do you call it? As a case study. But it's not the reality. So again, what do you have to do? You got to go out and say, this is what I have to offer. You need to make sure that what you're offering is realistic. If you're telling me that the market price for somebody with half a brain is $20 an hour and you're offering 16 to 18, you're going to get a quarter brain. And then you're complaining of why it is that nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to work for you. Let's just put that where it is. Nobody wants to work for you. So you've got to have then people that you have to manage, not people that you have to lead. They have to be supervised because they will always look for a shortcut. They will not want to finish things correctly. They don't have attention to it. I was just doing an exclusion service yesterday with a tech, a new one that I just hired. And I'm taking him for 2 weeks training. And I took him with me so he can see an exclusion and help me do it. And what he realized, he said, hey man, I see that you pay an enormous amount of attention to detail. Like the caulking has to be done right. You know, all of this, everything is aesthetics. I'm going to show you a video. You've seen my work that I do. It's pretty darn aesthetically pleasing. So these are the attention to detail. If a person doesn't have attention to detail, why is he working for $12 an hour? Chances are because he doesn't have attention to detail. He has to be managed. He has to be supervised. In our business, we have to hire people that are already managers, but they don't know it. They know how to manage their time. They know how to manage themselves. They can manage the product. They can manage that vehicle. They're managing a store that produces $250,000 to $300,000 a year. The average small business in America doesn't produce $400,000 a year. You have a route that will produce $300,000 a year, more than any business in a storefront anywhere in America. The average tiny little restaurant cafe produces what, $30,000, $40,000 a month with a $3,000, $4,000 rent in a little place. Look, I used to run restaurant. I understand it. So when these numbers that we're throwing out there, and what will usually happen, the high numbers come from like, well, you know, you need to pay them 25 to 30%. Usually it's from an employee that doesn't know cost and doesn't understand cost, telling you as an owner what you should be paying for something when he has no idea what the costs are. Because he says, that's what I make. I'm an employee and I won't work for less. I said, you're 25-year veteran and I could never afford you and therefore I would never hire you. So it's a mute conversation. It's irrelevant. A lot of the things that we talk about truly are irrelevant. All right, so I got to cut a piece of 18 and 3/4 by 21 3/4 so that I can get this done. We got the last door to do, and we're running really good on schedule. I'm gonna put this over here. So when we're talking about all this stuff, guys, you know, who are you talking to? Are you talking to another owner? Or is that, like, I usually ask people, okay, tell me how many people you've hired and fired to give me that advice. And the answer is none. So then you don't know what you're talking about. You pulled that number out of your butt. You have no clue. Because this is not something that we can pontificate about on things we do not know. I can tell you what I know. I know my numbers. I know what it takes to run a business. I know what it takes to manage business because I've managed dozens and dozens of businesses in my life. Okay, and I understand P&Ls, and I understand balance sheets, and I understand cash flow statements, and I understand one thing: how much money you got coming in, what percentage are you spending on, 10% on vehicle, let's say, maximum 12 to 15 if you're operating a large vehicle for lawn, but let's say average 10% on vehicle. Total cost 15% max on all products and chemicals, including hard products and things a year. If you're doing, rodent stations, okay, and you've got a product, let's say a 15%, a fleet of 10, that's 25, and then you've got labor, and labor can't be above 25 because then now you're at 50%. At 50% profit margin, you'll never grow. You need at least a 55% profit margin to grow. Okay, if you're at 60, yes, you're going to scale because you have 20%, 25% to throw at marketing. Okay, 25% to throw at marketing so that you can scale the company. But now you don't have 20% for employees. You got to keep that payroll around 14, 15%, meaning you got to hire, $16 an hour guys. You got to make sure your pricing stays up to provide you that 50%, or else it'll never happen because you only have 100 pennies to a dollar. You don't have more. So all of this, guys, that we're talking about hiring and firing people, it's like I had one guy, I put the post, and one guy just said, well, yeah, but I've been an employee my whole life, and I have pride in my work and this and that. And, employees, are they worth that amount? I said, that's not for the employee to determine. If you say you're a $24 hour employee and I'm paying you $24, I need to, me as an owner, verify that your work is what you say it is, and your work is what I say I want it to be. And if we can't agree, then at that point I have to fire you. Plain and simple. It is not the employee's responsibility to have they got to have the integrity, but you have to determine if they have the integrity. It is your job in management. What I find most people is they want to abdicate. They do not want to manage. They don't want to be the bad guy. They don't want to fire. They don't want to tell people they're wrong. They don't want to correct people. They're intimidated. They have low self-esteem, and they're trying to deal with all this. And it is my job as a manager to say, no, this is the way I want it done. And when you cut a corner, I will find out. And if you cut a corner, I will fire you. Plain and simple. But you don't want to do that. You want to, this is why I don't hire, because I don't want to deal with all those headaches. You can't grow. You can't bitch and complain about what you don't have when you're not willing to pay the price to what it takes to have it, and then be bitter and angry about it. Second thing, I'm going to cut this 21 3/4. Let's go this way because this has to go down like this, so it has to be at 18 3/4. Give me 1 second. I'm going to 18 3/4. I'm going to go, if 18 3/4, I'm going to go a little bit under. I'm going to go here because if I go to 18 3/4, it will be, so I'm going to go a little lower to this one. It's going to be like almost 18 and a half. All right, so I got my handy little cutter to cut up. We're going to do some business. We're going to do some technical training. We're going to do some, let me shut over here. They're doing electrical in this house. They're doing a whole bunch of things to this house. I'm going to try this one, see if this works. Give me a second. Look at what I'm doing. Let me kind of show you. This is AAC product. Great product. I love it. And then you just go down. It's too tight. All right, I'm going to come this way, and I'm going to finish it off. All right, so this is is the bottom part. All right, now we got to go 21. So if you're interested in doing extrusion work, this is pretty cool. So we're going to do 21 3/4. So we're probably going to end up doing 21 1/2. Absolutely. All right. So it's cut. And that's going to be our hatch panel. And then I'm going to frame it. I'm going to go test it over there, make sure it's nice, because it's going to add a little bit on the edge on the outside, and we want it to be close to tight as possible. It has a direction that you want it to go. As you can see, like here, you can see the holes, and then if you put it like that, so when you look down, you can't see into it. If you put it like this, you'll be able to see inside the crawl space. Great product. Let me go over here and grab this and go test it. So we'll test it and see what gives on this project. I like doing these lives because I can show you what I'm doing, do some work, get it done. You know, these are the vents we're doing. Show you this. Look what he's doing. All right. See, we got them there. And now installing them with the tap gun screws. And we're done. So I'm going to go over here. Give me a second. I'm going to duck down. You're not going to see me. You might. All right. Well, I messed up somewhere. I got one right, but I messed up the cut. It's got to be here. This is perfect over here, but that's twice cut once. My bad. All right, so we're taking 4 notches off. Not a big deal. At least I didn't overcut it, because I can't. There's no liquid metal that I can put to make these stretch out. So I'm talking to you guys, and luckily I don't do much. I let my employees do it because I'm pretty confident at doing this stuff. I stay in an office all day and talk to people and do paperwork and make sales. What the hell do I know? All right, so said 4 notches off that. 4. Here we go. Okay, you don't want to go. Why not? Oh, here's why. It's hot in there. There we go. That should make it happen. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4.
Voy a poner a cargar.
Okay, dale. All right. And we're ready to frame it. And then he'll get that installed, and we're done with this one little project. Let's see, put you here, put you there. Nope, cancel that. I don't want to, whatever it is. I don't know. You guys hear with me good? I mean, is it nice? I'm getting a breeze, so I'm kind of happy right now, because it's been like no breeze, nothing going on here. I get a lot of questions on pricing and how to price. By the way, there's a live I did on how to price to sell. Go check out that video if you want to learn how to price to sell, because there's pricing for profit and there's pricing to sell. Cancel that. ¿Qué pasó? No, there's no electric. No hay electricidad. ¿Tú no tienes el de batería? El que se conecta en el carro.
Creo que no.
Yo había puesto uno así, y no sé si lo traje.
De todas maneras, bueno,
All right.
Yo tengo 2 o 3 baterías ahí, pero bueno, esta está media.
Bueno, no te preocupes, sigue usándola. Ahí vamos. So that's pretty much it, folks. I mean, that's the reality of, if you guys want to hire, you're going to have to do a real good competitive analysis on what the market's like, figure out what you can offer, to make yourself competitive, what you're going to be able to give, and the kind of people you're going to attract. And a person who needs insurance, the question was asked, could you give them a stipend for Obamacare? I says, you could technically do that, but then if you increase their wages by too much, then they don't qualify, and then it lowers that. So it's basically always on an income scale, and that's a nightmare to try to navigate. Where if somebody can get screwed on this and then get mad at you for screwing up, the amount of care that we're getting. So you got to make decisions. Hey, we don't offer healthcare. Pay for it on your own. See what you make. See what you qualify for under the Obamacare, and then pay it. Or seeing where you can talk to the accountant or check it out online. And if I pay this, what will actually be the amount of coverage that person can get for his family? Those are, you got to look for options. Self-directed funds, 401ks, they're a nightmare to navigate, especially when people quit. I mean, I used to be in a 401k Vanguard, very aggressive fund, and when I left, basically, I had to move that money somewhere else, and so that becomes a problem. There are things to navigate that we're not prepared to navigate at a 4-person company. Right now I'm hiring. This technician here, he's leaving in July. I got 2 months notice, and I went and started hiring. I already hired 2 guys. So when somebody tells me you can't hire, I'm saying you either don't know how to hire or you're doing it wrong. But tell me you can't hire, you can't find people that want to work. I've been saying this for a decade now. Usually what you want is another you. You're not going to get another you. You're not going to get a person that knows, and you can't transfer knowledge instantly. That's not something that can be done. Put this in here in my little frame. You can't do that. You have to be able to train people. You've got to inspect what you expect from people. Okay. So if you're expecting X to be done, then you got to make sure that you're inspecting for X. What you want to do is you want to advocate. You want to be able to hire somebody today and make sure that that person is going to be doing their job, and you don't have to train them. You don't have to spend any time managing them. You have to verify everything these people tell you, because in an interview, everybody bullshits, including you. You tend to exaggerate your real capability of how you are as a manager and how you are as a person, because you're trying to impress them to win them over. Everybody's dating. Everybody's on an impression scene, trying to. Let me grab some water real quick. So right now I'm training 2 people. I trained one last week and this week. He's going to go with me 1 more week to train, and then he's on his own. The next guy that's coming in on Wednesday, he's coming in for a 1-day trial. He already took my intro to pest control technician course. By the way, it's free. You can go log in right now and get it for free for all your technicians. He took that course. He went through the whole thing. He was really impressed. He's really, impressed with what I do, with the way we do it, the way we treat people, the way I talk to him. I just don't bullshit around with people. I tell them exactly how it is, how what to expect from me, and all that. And I got another guy starting. So when somebody, and I had 99, I think, applicants, and only 3 that I called. I had the list. And by the way, I started hiring in November. And then I decided I'm not going to hire in November. We're having a really good winter. It's going to be a slow summer because it's going to be dry. We're not going to get a lot of stuff. I can see it. Based on doing this for 17 years in Miami and going through droughts and going through El Nino and going through different, I can kind of pretty good at getting to do this stuff. And I said, no, I'm not going to hire in November. I'm going to wait. So I had a list of people. So I called these people back and had interviewed on the Indeed interview. Out of 79 people, only 6 took the interview. That's a reality. Okay, so the 6 that took it, I called them all, and I said, "Hey, are you still looking to hire? I'm hiring again. I'm starting to hire now." He says, "Yeah, we're interested. We're still interested." They both had jobs. One of them took off to work at their parents' nursery. The other one is still working 2 restaurant jobs and seems to be liking what we're doing. One is a maintenance tech. The other is going to be a lawn tech because he's got 10 years of landscape experience installing, working at nurseries, working in really high-end neighborhoods doing installations. That saves me about a year's worth of training because he knows diseases, he knows pests, he's just never done pest control. That makes it way easier for me. So I'm going to teach him how to do pest control, and he already knows how to do a lot of these things. We're not going to do installations, but he already knows plants. That saves me an enormous amount of time. So coming in for a 1 day, I hired him. We're doing background checks now while this is happening. Everything is contingent upon background checks. If it doesn't pan out, I got 1 guy out of 2. We can start with 1 guy, and then I can hire another one or test this guy to see how well he can do by himself, taking other things on, and then maybe hiring another part-time guy. That's it. So I'm hiring 1 full-time, 1 part-timer, because we're growing the South route. He's already has a job. He's going to leave one of them, and he's going to stay with the other and stay with me, and it works out. There's always ways to skin a cat, folks. The thing is, you can't just say I want it one way, and when I don't get it one way, then that's it. It just can't be done. You got to find multiple ways to do this. So that's where I'm at. That's what we've been doing this week. We're almost done with this exclusion job. Hopefully, I'll get going on this and finish it. I want to finish out. I wanted to finish by noon, 1 o'clock. It looks like it's probably going to be 1 o'clock now. I want to get out of the sun and I want to get home, and I don't want to do a darn thing. Hey, this is Frank the Service Geek wishing you a pestacular day until I come up with something else to say.